Hello and welcome to Keep Calm and Craft On. I'm Stephanie. Today I have a Glowforge tutorial for you, and I'm going to be sharing with you how I get my wood signs perfectly aligned and perfectly straight every time. I have 8 tips that I'm going to share with you. It's going to make it super easy and super straight every single time. So let's get started. And I just wanted to let you know, if you've been thinking about buying a Glowforge, I can help you save up to $500 on a new Glowforge. I will leave my referral link in the description box below. Just click on that link and it'll take you right to the Glowforge website where you can order your Glowforge, and it will take your discount off automatically. And then you can be creating projects right alongside of me using your own Glowforge. I love mine and I think you will too. My first tip for you is to paint your wood before you put it in the laser. When you're creating a sign that has either lettering on it or some kind of intricate design, once you laser the pieces, it's going to be really hard to paint them without getting paint around the edge. And if you're like me, one of the things I love about laser cut signs, I like to layer mine with different layers. I love the burnt edge that you get on the lasered pieces, and I like that to stand out and be part of my design. I don't like to cover up the edges. Some people don't like that, so they like to spray paint the pieces after they've come out of the laser. And if that is your style, go for it. Spray paint after you have lasered. But I like to keep that burnt edge on it, so I paint my entire board before I actually laser. Because if I was to laser my letters and then try and paint them, it is virtually impossible to not get paint on the edges and cover up some of that, the burnt edge. It's not gonna look good with a little bit of paint running on the side. So first tip, prep your board or your wood, whatever you're using, prep it before you actually laser it. Now today I'm going to be painting this entire board with Waverly chalk paint in Elephant, and the reason I'm doing the whole board is because this is a color that I use often for letters in my signs, so I know I will be able to use it up. You don't always have to do an entire board. I use my scraps all the time. So if I know I have a scrap that is big enough to fit what I need on it, then I might just paint like a little portion of my scrap and laser on there, so I can use up as much of my scrap and as much as my wood as possible. But for today, I'll be painting this entire board because I know eventually I will use it up with this color paint. So once my board is completely dry, I'm going to add this polyacrylic finish to the top. It's very important that you have a protective finish on top of your painted surface, and I will share with you coming up shortly why that is so important. So this is chalk paint, so it's gonna dry pretty quickly, but as soon as I can tell that it's dry, I will put this polyacrylic on top. And in the meantime, I'm going to head over to my computer and I'm going to show you a couple tips in my design software, what I do to help me get perfect placement on my signs every time. And you can apply this to whatever design software you use. So let's head over to my computer and I'll share those tips with you there. Okay, so now I'm in Silhouette Studio Business Edition because that is the design software that I use, but you can use this same method with any design software that you use. So my third tip for getting perfect signs every time is creating a mock-up, a life-size mock-up in your design software. So I have taken a picture of the white distress board that I use for many of my signs, and that's what you see here. And I've sized it to 12 by 18 because that is the actual size of my sign in real life. So this way I'm able to design right here on the picture of the board, and I can play around with colors and placement and everything. This not only helps me in the design process, it also helps me be able to send a mock-up to my customer and get their approval of their custom design sign before I actually put it into production. Okay, so I have my design all ready to go, and I'm going to show you the trick that I do to get perfect placement on my sign when I actually go to put all of these elements on the real sign. So first I want to just make sure that this is centered. So I've got this, all of this wording here is already grouped together. So I'm clicking on that, and then I'm going to click on my sign, and I'm going to go up here to the alignment tool, and I'm going to make it so that it centers. And it looks like it didn't move, so it looks like it was already centered. I'm going to do the same thing with these words down here. They're already grouped together. Click on those and then click on my sign, come up here to the alignment tool, and make sure that's centered. Yep, and it looks like it didn't move at all, so that is perfectly centered. So when I go to put these words on my real sign, I want them to be centered just like this. I'm not worried about the lake silhouette because that's easy to put down once I have all of my wording down on the sign, so I don't do anything with that. All right, I'm going to highlight all of my sign and I'm going to copy and paste. Just Control C, Control V. Copy and paste it. And now I am going to click on the background sign. I want to get rid of the filling here. So I want it to just be the border. So I'm going to come up here to my color window and click no color, and that takes away the color of the sign. Then I need to have an outline. So I'm just going to do a red outline of the rectangle. All right, and I haven't moved anything. All I did was take away the color and add a border line. Now, I'm just going to, I don't need the lake. I'm just going to delete that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my rectangle, and I don't want to do anything with the top because right now this top is the exact distance away from the top of the sign that I want it to be. So I'm just going to come down here to the bottom of my rectangle. So I'm going to move the rectangle up here like this, and basically, here's my fourth tip, is to create a box around the wording or whatever it is that you want to make sure you get perfectly aligned. And I'm going to have Glowforge cut out this rectangle around all of my words. And actually, I need now to prepare this for Glowforge, I need to take the color out of here, because when you have colored in letters or any object colored in, that's going to tell Glowforge that you want to engrave, and I do not want to engrave these. I want to cut them out. So I'm going to take out the color and again just have a red line there. So now I know this is all ready to go in Glowforge just like this. And I'm going to group all of this because I want that to stay just like that, and have Glowforge cut it out just like that, because what's going to happen is basically I'm going to have, this is going to be a template that Glowforge is cutting out for me, and I'm going to be able to align the top of this template, and it's going to align at the top of my sign, and it's going to allow me a place to just plop in the words, or the words and the letters, and have them perfectly placed. Don't worry, I'll show all of you that once I have the sign actually cut out, so hopefully that makes more sense. Whoops, I moved the wrong thing. Let me move my box back. Okay, so I have the top words all ready to go. Now I need to do the same with this bottom here. So I'm going to highlight this again, copy and paste another copy of it. I'll bring that one over here. All right, same steps. I'm going to take out the color and just make the line of my rectangle. And now all I need to do is move the top of the rectangle down to put a box. Let me just get rid of that. All right, I just want my little box around the bottom word. So the spacing here on the bottom is how I want it spaced on my actual sign. And again, let me make this just no filling color and just an outline. All right, and now I'm going to group that. All right, and move those over there. Now I can just get rid of this and this. That's just extras. All right, and I'm going to copy and paste this because right now what I'm doing, I'm getting my file ready to go over to Glowforge. Again, I'm going to cut this out, so let me just get rid of the inside color and make it just a cut line. All right, so I'm going to highlight all of my elements, and I'm getting this file ready to send to Glowforge. So I've highlighted them. I'm going to come up here and File, Save Selection. And now I just need to find where I want to save this. All right, I've titled my file, and now I don't want to save it as a silhouette file. I want to save it as an SVG. In order to be able to save as an SVG, you do need Business Edition of Silhouette Studio. But if you can save as an SVG in your design software, I highly recommend it. And the reason for this is tip number 5, to save as an SVG if you can, because SVGs save to the exact dimensions that you create them in. I don't really know the reason for this, but I found if I put a PNG into Glowforge, it resizes it. Well, I want everything to stay in the exact size that I've designed it in because that's what's going to fit my actual sign. So I've saved as an SVG, and now this is ready to go into the Glowforge software and ready to laser. So let's head over to the Glowforge software and we'll take it from there. I almost left out one of my tips. So before we head over to the Glowforge software, let me tell you, tip number 6 is to use 3M tape. Now, I have talked about this stuff before, and it is fabulous and so worth the price. It is pricey. I will put a link in the description box below where you can get it, but you can see it is a huge roll. I have used this so much and I still have so much. Like it lasts forever. So you want to back your material with 3M double-sided adhesive. And the reason for this is so that you do not have to glue down individual little tiny letters. You will thank yourself in the long run for getting 3M double-sided adhesive. It is fabulous. So I am going to put this on the painted board that has now dried, and I put the polyacrylic on it. And so now I'm going to put the 3M tape on the back of this board. So once my letters and words are all cut out, I just have to peel off the backing and stick it onto my sign. It is a lifesaver. So now I'm in the Glowforge software, and as you can see, I've already uploaded the design into the software. It is all ready to go. It has stayed the same size as I created it in my design software. So all I need to do is position it on my material and start it cutting. If you need more detailed instructions on how to bring your artwork into the Glowforge software, I will link a video up top where I go into more detail about how to do that. But for this video, I'm not going into the details of that. We're going to get this sign cutting, and my next tips are coming whenever I start assembling the sign. So once Glowforge is finished cutting out your design, you see here that you're left with some charring marks on your wood. Now, one way to resolve that is to mask your wood before you laser it. But the problem with pre-painting your board, I found, is that the masking does not want to stick. So remember I told you there was a reason that you really wanted to make sure you put a protective coating on your painted board, and that was the polyacrylic that I put on. Well, here is the reason for that. Watch how simple it is to clean off the board since I have that polyacrylic on top of my painted wood. All I'm gonna do is take a little bit of rubbing alcohol and a microfiber cloth, and I'm simply just going to wipe away those charring marks. And I'm doing that before I take my pieces out of Glowforge. That way they're just much easier to wipe away that way. And you can see it only takes a tiny bit of alcohol to get the job done. The polyacrylic coating makes it so that you're not actually wiping off paint, because if you did this without a coating on it, you're going to end up wiping away some of the paint. So just go over all of your pieces, and then you can take them out of Glowforge, and then you're ready to place them on the sign. Okay, so everything has been cut in Glowforge, and I'm ready to assemble my sign. I've already punched out all of the letters and the words. And just a side note, I accidentally broke the word "the" whenever I was first punching it out. So I had to cut another one, and I used up this extra scrap part of this wood. So just ignore that. I put it upside down so we didn't get confused with the original design. All right, so everything is cut out, punched out, and now I'm ready to use these pieces as my templates. So remember, I measured out the rectangle, so it's the exact width of my sign. So all I have to do is line it up at the top, because remember, this is spaced exactly how I want it on the sign. So I'm going to line it up on the top and the sides, and then I'm just going to get a piece of painter's tape and just tape it right in place. I'm going to do that on this side too. All right, so it's lined up on the top and the sides. And now all I have to do is get my pieces and start putting them in here, and it's going to be perfectly aligned. And then I'll do the same thing. Oops, I'm stuck to the table. I'm going to do the same thing down here. This is the exact spacing that I want it from the bottom of the sign. So I'm going to line this one up along the bottom of the sign and the sides. And let me get some more painter's tape. All right, so now all I have to do is take my pieces, take off the backing, and for that I find an X-Acto knife is really helpful to get off the 3M tape. So I'm just gonna peel it off and then stick it right in the little template. Now, remember when I said you really wanted to invest in the 3M tape? Well, here is the reason, especially for these intricate words like this little the, and this is where is it? Right there is where I broke it before, because it's so thin. If you had to get glue on that, trust me, it's not fun, because I've done it that way before. And the 3M tape is such a game changer. All right, so I'm going to finish putting all of the letters on here, and then I will show you the finished product. All right, so I'm going to remove the template now. Easier said than done. Taking off the tape, and then you're gonna need to lift up, basically lift up straight, take it right off. And look at that. Now it is aligned perfectly straight, and that was so easy. Now I like to just push down on all of them once I've removed the template. So now I'm going to do the same down here, and then I will put the lake silhouette in the middle and show you the finished product. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you got some useful tips out of my 8 sign making tips today. Let me know in the comments below. Have you tried any of these things before, or which one are you looking forward to try on your next sign? And if there are any other video tutorials you'd like to see me do with my Glowforge, just leave a comment below and let me know, and I'll see if I can get working on one of those for you really soon. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and until next time, I will see you later.